Didn't even realize I was wearing this shirt. Hey guys, welcome back to the Dr. Cliff AUD vlog. This is vlog number 184, and today I want to talk to you about me hiring a PR team. That's right, I am finally at the point now where I felt like I needed a PR company to kind of help support the mission that I am on right now. But before I get into this video, if you could do me a huge favor, click that like button. You know it helps out my channel. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button with notification bell so you get notified every single time I publish a new video. So, I don't know, I think maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, I was at a crossroads. I was like, okay, I want to get the message out about high quality hearing healthcare beyond just hearing aids, right? Like all my mission this entire time has been talking about best practices and making sure that consumers are informed and educated about their options, both hearing aid wise as well as audiologic care wise. And so again, a couple of months ago, I was just taking a step back and looking at what were my options about pushing my reach further. So the YouTube channel, as of this recording, is at like 200 and maybe 290,000 subscribers or so. We get over 1 million views a month on all of the videos. The problem with YouTube is that it typically requires that someone is seeking out your information, or your information is entertaining enough for YouTube to recommend it to new people. And let's face it, audiologic care, hearing aids, not the sexiest thing in the world. Not a lot of people are just gonna stumble across it because it's so entertaining. And that way, and so YouTube doesn't recommend it. I would say the video that I have that has gone the most viral was my ear candling video. That particular video got millions and millions of views because that's one of those things where people are like, it's very polarizing, let's say. There's certain people who believe that ear candling is totally true, and other people who think like, could it possibly be true? And other people who are like, that's dumb. And so all three of those groups of people wanted to see that particular video. But that's great, but it doesn't really cover a whole lot of audiologic care. It doesn't really deal with hearing loss a whole lot, other than people giving themselves a hearing loss by ear candling. But you get my point. So the decision that I had to make was I wanting to commit a lot of money and resources to a national marketing campaign where I actually put out, advertisements, whether it was on TV, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook or some other social media platform, to get it in front of people who need to see it. But you have to pay for that to happen. And that can be extremely expensive. Not can be, it is. It is extremely expensive to run a national marketing campaign, especially when there is not a whole lot of revenue generation that happens because of that. So in the greater Phoenix area, sure, if we ran some ads here in the greater Phoenix area, people would come into the clinic, they would potentially purchase hearing aids, purchase our services, and then that, of course, would justify the cost of spending marketing dollars here locally. The problem with us doing a national marketing campaign, if we were to pay to actually do this, is that we would spend a ton of money getting the word out, but there would be nothing to cover it. I would literally just have to pay out of my own pocket to get the information out there. And that's why YouTube has been so good, because I just spend my time. I have some cameras and lighting and equipment and all of that, but by and large, I can do that, and I can do it relatively cheaply. It just takes a lot of time. But there's no incentive, there's no reward for me actually spending a ton of money getting awareness out there, because like I have the Hearing Up network that's nationwide, and we're expanding it globally. But the problem is that members, if they get 100 new patients a day, they still pay a flat fee just to be in the network, right? Like I don't get any more additional revenue by them getting substantially more patients inside of their clinic. So it's not like if I spend extra money on marketing that I'm going to recoup that cost. It's basically just a lost cost. That led me to believe that, okay, well, what is something else that I could do that could potentially get the word out, but doesn't necessarily cost as much money, right? And I started to think that, maybe it's time that I hire a PR company to do public relations, to have a team of people who are constantly out there looking for these editors and these journalists or whoever that are looking to get some insight or information from an expert. And it's weird to call myself an expert, but I think that I've kind of niched myself into this position of being someone who has something to say, who's very confident about what I have to say. I research a lot about the things that I know, and so I guess at this point maybe I am an expert. But by and large, I think that I just have information to share that's valuable for people. And so when there are journalists out there looking for a key opinion leader to ask questions about hearing aids, over-the-counter hearing aids, hearing healthcare, anything ear-related, tinnitus, balance disorders, things like that, I felt like it was good that it would be good for those journalists to get a hold of me so I can give them my perspective on what's important about those particular topics. Now, if you flash back, what year would that have been? 2006? Maybe 2007. No, I think it was 2006. I was a massage therapist. I opened up my massage therapy clinic and I had no patients, and there was a local newspaper in the town of Joplin, Missouri. I think it was called the Joplin Globe. And I had sent out press releases. I had ordered a course for like $39.99, and it taught me how to write press releases. And I would basically type up these press releases and I would send it out to the Joplin Globe, and I would never hear anything. And then all of a sudden, I get a phone call from one of the journalists at the Joplin Globe. And she's like, hey, I saw your press release about you being a former Scout sniper in the Marine Corps and you being a massage therapist. We want to run a piece on a veteran, a small business owner for Veterans Day edition of their newspaper. And so I got a full page spread talking all about how massage therapy is important for health, what it can do health-wise, benefit-wise, all of that. And it was just really, really cool. Honestly, it didn't really result in me getting a whole lot of patients because of that article, but I did get several patients because of that article, which was nice. So when I started thinking about potentially using PR, it's not cheap to use PR, to have an entire company that is out there trying to pitch to these different journalists like, hey, you need to interview this guy because he's got something to say. And so far, I've actually already done a couple of interviews for Forbes Health as well as Time Magazine. And I'm hoping that there's a lot more of those to come. I've only really had this company employed for a couple of weeks. The initial week or so was onboarding, but I was out of country, so it was a little sketchy with the onboarding process. But I think that we're finally going to start hitting our stride. I had a call with one of the writers the other day for pieces that they're going to submit that essentially they wrote and took quotes from me in the things that they wrote. But I think that this is potentially a way to scale the growth of the message that I have about best practice audiologic care and not really have to worry about recouping costs from a marketing standpoint. Yes, it costs thousands of dollars per month. We're going to test it probably for 6 months to see how it goes. I'm basically taking the revenue that I have from my other things that I do, from sponsored content and stuff like that is actually funding it. And I'm using this attention to grow awareness that benefits my Hearing Up network. It would potentially benefit my clinic if any people in the greater Phoenix area sees some of this public relations content and these articles that are written. I'm hoping to get on TV. The package that I purchased with this particular company, Otter PR, the package that I purchased was for them to also pitch television stations to, if they're looking for someone to interview about hearing healthcare, that I'm going to be right there to be able to do that. Obviously, I like being on camera. If I had my preference, all of the interviews would be video format. Some of them are going to, of course, be radio format, or podcast format, that kind of format, as well as a written format. I've actually been in Wall Street Journal before. I've gotten patients out of being in the Wall Street Journal, but I don't have enough time to be writing press releases and sending them all over the place. That's why I wanted to hire a team to actually do this for me, and we'll ultimately see how well it goes. I have a feeling it's going to be something that's beneficial, and as long as I can justify continuing the ongoing costs, I think it's going to be great. This particular company, I did some research out there for a couple of weeks trying to find the best PR company for me as a small business owner, as an influencer, and I felt like they were the company that fit the best with what my needs were. So we'll see if I was right, we'll see if I was wrong. They've been very pleasant to work with so far, and no, this is not a sponsored video for Otter PR. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm paying them a lot of money, and I'm actually talking about them on my own volition on this particular vlog. But pay attention to any news articles that come out about hearing healthcare, about hearing aids, or what have you, because there's a chance that there'll be some quotes from me inside of those articles. articles. But if you end up finding an article that has some of my quotes, or where I was interviewed for an article, make sure that you take a photo of it and share it with me on social media so I can know that you guys are actually seeing it. But that being said, thank you so much for joining me for today's vlog, guys. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.